Okay, welcome back. Now that we've got our sprites in, our sounds loaded, one of our backgrounds in, and our objects programmed, we're going to go ahead and add rooms. Now, rooms are really just another way of saying a game level or a playing level. But that's where you contain all of the parts that make your game happen. So I'm going to go to Resources, and I'm going to click on Create Room. I'm going to, let's see, backgrounds, let's see, Settings tab. I'm going to call this RM, and I'm going to call this Level 1. If I were doing the big video game project you're going to do, I would name this RM_title, and then that would be your title screen, that kind of thing. So anyways, this is just room level 1. I'm going to go to Backgrounds, and I'm going to load that background that I loaded, and I'm going to click Stretch. Okay, and what that does is that just makes it so that it fills the entire screen. If you had something that was unique and you had it tiled, it would tile it, and it could overlap and make some weird looking images. But for now, I'm just going to leave it as stretched. Okay, then I'm going to go to my objects. Here is where I start adding the actual objects to the game, and I want to start off with my wall. So when I click, it's going to add it, and I can keep clicking here, and I believe if I hold down Shift and Control, I can just drag a line here. I'm going to do my outline. Oops. I'm going to delete that one, and I'm going to keep going here. So now my entire room is boxed in, and before I do anything else, I'm going to click on the checkbox, and I'll show you why I'm doing that. I like to be efficient. I don't want to have to recreate everything. In every room or level of this maze, I'm going to have to make sure the room is outlined. So since I've already done that work, I'm going to right-click on that room, and I'm going to duplicate it. And I'm just going to name it RM_level 2. And let's see my background again. Make sure it's checked to stretch. We're good. Okay, so now I have, this is room 1. And when I double click, I have room 2. And it's already outlined in the wall. So I can't bounce out of the room. Okay, so I'm going to click back on level 1. And now I can add my, my guy. I'm going to add him right there. And I'm actually going to add, let's see, I click down here. Again, I'm in the Objects tab. I'm going to add my gold wall so that when I click on the gold wall, when I bump into it, remember it's going to take me to the next room. So I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to go into my second room. And now I'm going to actually make the maze a little more challenging. So I'm going to click on my Objects tab. And I'm going to click here. And again, part of this, the reason I'm going so quickly is I'm just doing a very basic maze. And then I can add my gold wall right there and say OK. So now it's done. I'm going to go ahead and click on this icon here, or I can just click File, Save. Remember, we've already saved this when we set up our project, and I probably should have been saving more often. But all you have to do not click File, Save As. You've already saved it. Remember, it has 5. That's the class period I'm in technology _AN. Those are my initials. So once I have that set up the first time, all I do is click Save. And now I'm actually going to test the game. And I'm going to click on this icon right here, this green, and you'll see the hover, the tooltip comes up and called Run the Game. I'm going to click that. And if I have no problems, it shouldn't give me any error messages down here. Give it a minute, and then it should pop up, and I should be able to actually play the game. So, yep, I move to the right, I let go, it stops. I move to the left, I let go, it stops. I move down, I let go, it stops. I move up, I let go, it stops. And I'm going to go over here. And when I hit the gold box, it should take me to the next room. And it sure does. And I forgot to add my guy. I forgot to add my character to the next room. And what else did I forget? I forgot to actually add the sounds. So I'm going to click on Close. And I'm going to go to my my room here and add my guy. I'm going to say OK. And now I'm going to actually double click on my runner, and I'm going to say when I bump into the wall, I want him to stop, but I also want a sound. And I'm going to call this sound bump. I don't want it to loop. I want the loop to be false. If I had like background music, I could say yes, loop it, true, but I don't. I just want it so that once it hits the brown wall, it makes that noise. I'm going to click OK, and then I'm going to double click on my gold wall. So once I click on the gold wall, I want it to make that sound, and then I'm going to click OK. I'm going to click OK. I can save, and then I'm going to play this. And depending on how my recording settings are, you may or may not hear the sound, but I will let you know if I hear it. Yeah, I did hear the sound as I went to the next room. So now what happened here? I have an error. And before you come get me, I want you to take some accountability and read through the error and see if you can debug this yourself. So this says fatal error in action number 1 of step event object gold wall for object runner. Moving to next room after the last room. Well, what that means, how many rooms do I have? I have 2 rooms. And so when I finished this room and I clicked on the gold block here, I ran into it. It wanted to take me to the next room, except that next room doesn't exist. So that's all it is. I need to either add an end game or another brick to hit so that I win the game or something. All right, so I'm going to click clear, abort, and here we go. I'm going to add, I'm going to duplicate this. Nope, actually I'm going to go into this room, and I'm actually going to delete this object. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on this sprite, I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to call this SPR win. I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to change images colorize. I'm going to change this to like a green, which means I win. And I'm going to say OK here. OK. Now I'm going to add another object. Resource, create object. I'm going to attach the green one, and I'm going to call this obj_win. I make sure it's solid, and I say OK. And now I go to my maze runner, and I'm going to add another collision event so that when I collide with the object win, what happens? It's going to give me a message. You win. I say OK, and then it's going to end the game. And now I'm going to save it. And I have to add it to this room. I almost forgot that. So we'll click right there. And let me block that off. Yep, okay. So now when I go through level 1 and I go to level 2, that was my next room sound. I'm not sure if you heard that or not, but I'm going to go through, and once I touch that green block, I should get a pop-up saying that I win, and that should be the end of the game. Now there are some modifications I can do. If I wanted to, when I release the key, for it to still move to make it a little more challenging, I could do that. I can make it restart the room every time I bump into a brown brick. I can make it, I can make the maze clearly a lot more challenging, make it faster. But for a very simple basic game, this is all I want. So now once I hit that, there's my pop-up, you win. I click OK, and that's the end of the game. Congratulations, you finished your very first basic game in GameMaker.